Everything is changing, growing, and evolving, even you. From the nurse's student to the baby nurse, off the bedside nurse and into entrepreneurship, you have evolved. So now we're here at the Evolved Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Lakeisha, and let's get right into the episode. Our first guest today, this is Miss Daneil Hudson. She is one of my best friends from nursing school. She's a travel nurse, a mom, and she's in the emergency department. So you know she has her critical thinking skills up to par. We're going to get right into the episode, and this is an interview. So if you have any questions, you can go over to our Instagram page and ask the questions in the comment section. All right. So what I want to do is I want to start by getting into the past and then talking about how we have evolved as nurses, okay?
All right.
So me and you, we both enter into an accelerated nursing program, which means that we were like nursing wasn't on the top of our brains. That wasn't our first thought of what we would do. Both of us have our bachelor's in biology. So what was your initial career? Like, what did you want to do?
Well, to be honest, medicine. But when I went to VSU the first time, I actually wanted to do nursing. Like, that's what I went for. I applied for the nursing program, like 2014. That's when it was the TEAS exam. But there was some trauma that occurred during that time. And I took the exam and I didn't pass. And I was like, I'm not taking this again. So I just switched roles. And I did pre-med.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I know that you have a degree that you got before you got your bachelor's in biology. Am I correct?
Yep. That's health science admin for nursing. So that was the pre-nursing thing. Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. It was pre-nursing.
So what made you get over your anxiety of the TEAS exam? Because I know it was then the HESI that we had to take. What made you get over your anxiety to go and try nursing again?
Well, for me, nursing kind of has always been calling my name. I'm not going to say I searched out nursing. Nursing came for me. So I just had a child. I just graduated with my bachelor's in biology. And let's face it, if you're not going to med school, there's very little money to be made with a biology degree.
You ain't lying. a teacher, because I know that when I was having my anxiety about nursing, I was like, you know what? I always have my bachelor's in biology. I can go be a teacher because I had already taken my GRE.
Yeah, well, that ain't for me. So I know that was not an option.
Oh my goodness. Do you remember we had a teacher, one of our clinical instructors? She always had a saying. She said that nursing, you don't call nursing, nursing calls you.
Yep. And that's so true. It definitely did call me because let's see, I applied for nursing school on a whim. Like at this point, I was like, it is what it is. So I started the application. I was pregnant, and I was like, I didn't finish. I didn't finish the application. I didn't finish. Well, I did the application part, but I didn't take the exam. And I kind of like just counted off as anything. I was just like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And then I don't remember the lady's name that works in the office. I think she still works there. She called me and she's like, hey, is this Daneil? I was like, yeah, I was in Target that day. I never forget because I worked at Target. And she's like, I noticed that you applied for the nursing program, the accelerated program, but I noticed that you haven't taken I don't see your like HESI results. And I was like, that's because I haven't taken the test. She's like, oh, okay, you haven't taken it? I was like, no. Granted, this was past the deadline to turn everything in. She's like, okay. And then she hung up. She called me back about 10 minutes later. She was like, hey, it's me again. I was like, hey. She's like, do you want to go ahead and take the HESI? And then, because granted, the GPA was there. So she's like, you want to go ahead and take the HESI? I was like, okay. I was like, oh, well.
Sure.
That's a sign. And I signed up right then to take it on a Monday, the following Monday. And I went in and I took my exam. So, actually, no, she had told me about some books. I went to the library, I picked up the books from VSU, and I kind of skimmed it. I looked over it.
I
And I
was just
went,
about to say you didn't even study for the Hesse. Like,
not really, not the
sis,
first time.
I know how you do. I know how you do. You just it be you and the Lord.
And at this point, it wasn't something like I wasn't desperate for it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So when you're desperate for stuff, you kind of like you get all anxious about it. I wasn't, because honestly, it is what it is. That was my whole idea. Like that's my thought process behind it. Because as I said, the due date had already passed. I didn't take the exam. They called me. I didn't call them.
Ooh.
And at least at this point, I was like, this must be some divine stuff because I know. And I went, I took the exam and I failed the math portion.
Mhm.
Of
The
all the parts
fractions.
that failed, I
It's
failed
always the fractions.
girl. So I failed the math portion by just a little bit of points. And
Mhm.
I told her, I turned her and she's like, well, you need to pass all the parts. And once more, she's like, all right. And I was like, okay. And we hung up. So
Mhm.
at this point, I'm like, okay, it is what I tried. She called me back again. She's like, you
He
want
was
to take the
on
math?
you.
You want to take the math portion only because you could just take the math portion by itself. I was like, you can? She's like, yeah. And then she told me about the book to study. And
Mhm.
that's when I went and got the book and I started studying and practicing. And because I barely passed, I think the A and P portion, I started practicing both sections. And I
Mhm.
went in again. I took it and it was on from there.
Okay, girl. She was. You know what? I think I remember that lady too, and she was definitely honest about this nursing program, which makes me think that they really needed bodies. Like they
Then
really needed people.
you're I think about it like that too, but I also think about it like I think that was a good. I feel like it was divine intervention on my part. I needed
You
that.
needed the push
I
because if
needed,
she didn't push you and stay on you, you was just gonna be like, I failed it. It is what it is, just like you did with the T's exam.
yeah, but
Mhm.
for that, it was more than just the nursing because nursing school was my saving grace
Mhm.
for my mental. Like nursing school for me was the escape I needed from, like, it was what I needed in that time because I was going through a lot. So
Mhm.
I believe that the fact that it's just like something that didn't care about, but it just kept popping up, and she was
Mhm.
pushing, and I needed, like, nursing school for me was the great escape.
Mhm.
Um, because
That's how
I
you
got
were
it.
so calm, cool, and collected.
Huh? Girl, it was more like disconnected. It was not calculated. It was like I was living in I don't know. It was an interesting time. It was
Mhm.
an interesting time. I can say that.
Okay. So when you what was do you remember the book that she told you to study?
The Hesse book from the library. It was
Okay.
like the Hesse prep book. You actually
Mhm.
you just go to the not to the library. You go to the nursing department at VSU and you just tell them you want to get the Hesse book and you kind of like you check it out
Okay.
for the study and it had pretty much the questions, and I guess that was your or first taste of what nursing questions was like because it didn't make any sense to me.
Okay. Cuz I don't even in all honesty, I can't remember what my Hesse was like.
It didn't make
I
sense.
just went and took it and I was like I passed it. I didn't think about it no more after that, girl.
Mm-mm. It didn't make sense to me. Like Hesse questions they were very similar to nursing questions.
Okay. Cuz I don't remember. I just can't remember it being like because you know how the nursing questions they're like application based questions.
Mm-hmm.
So us coming from the biology background, if we can remember information, we're pretty much good. If we can remember formulas, we're fine. But when you get into nursing school and they start asking you what's first, what's priority, and it's not the same.
Yeah, that's weird though because for me, biology was. I found nursing school easier than biology. Biology was hard for me. I'm not very good at memorization. I'm good at analytics. Like I have to know, you know how I study. I have to
Hmm.
go. I have to know why.
Yeah, the
Bi-
why always the thing.
yeah, biology. You don't have to know why. You just need to know it.
So, just a tip for our nursing students that are listening to this, think like her because knowing the why will always get you to the answer. I was always thinking of like remembering information because I was used to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are looking for study tips, that would be one of your biggest things is to know the whys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, as far as our nursing school experience, you can be as transparent as you want to or as surface level as you want to. Can you tell me about your experience in nursing school? We can start off like just broad with how testing was, and then we can give some resources that you used for your testing.
Okay. All right. So broad testing. So honestly, like I said in the beginning, it wasn't too hard for me. Like
Hmm.
I didn't struggle in fundamentals.
Hmm.
So for me, like I don't know. Once I think I've always been like the person who kind of like has to know the why. Only time, well, once I got past the part with trying to know everything, because like from
Hmm.
biology, we had to memorize. So it's like a detail. Try once I get past that block of trying to know everything, because I passed my first test. I don't think I failed my first test. I
I
passed
think
my
I
first
failed.
test with, huh?
I think I failed.
I didn't fail it. I passed with a pretty decent grade. I
Hmm.
think I was very bad at pharmacology. I passed pharmacology on the dot. If I needed 72 points, that's exactly what I got. Like, like I struggled with pharmacology, but when it came to like fundamentals and all those things, because suddenly, nursing school for me, like it made sense.
Hmm.
Weird. Like when I studied, it made sense. So even though my struggle for nursing school was not the book part, it wasn't the didactic, it was more of the practical part.
Hmm.
So for the didactic part, it made sense. So once I studied, even though, I stressed, but I don't think I failed much in nursing school in general.
I don't remember. I can't remember a time where you were failing. I can remember you coming in, barely studying. Like, yeah, it kind of is what it
It
is.
is
And
what
you would do a very good job. But me and my anxiety being extremely high at the time, it was like, oh my gosh, we got to take a test
Uh-huh.
today. No,
Yeah.
I knew that I had this test. Should have been prepared for it, but I'm still feeling like extreme anxiety over it.
Oh,
So, like, it's many people that are like you where testing is their strong point, and then it's people that's like me, and it, girl, nursing school ate us up.
and that's the thing. And that's the funny thing is like, I don't think testing is my strong point. I just feel like nursing school makes, I don't know how to
Mhm.
explain it. It just made sense.
It
It
just
just,
clicked.
it
It
did.
clicked for me
Like
in the
I was,
end.
yeah, I was doing school this whole time because I've been going to school since I was 2. Yeah, then 2. In Jamaica, they start school early, so I've been going to school for a long time, and I always loved school. And I did biology in high school, so I
Hmm.
did sciences in high school. I did, and all this time I really had to try. Like even though I wasn't failing, I had to try.
Hmm.
And I did pre the pre-nursing school. And then I did the biology with the chemistry, and it just I had to, like, it didn't make sense. It never clicked. It never clicked. Even if I passed the test, I don't remember anything after
Yeah,
that.
you lose it.
it
You
was
lose
like it
it.
was like I just needed to know it exactly for that moment. I remember the only thing I remember about biology is ascorbic acid, and how to make pickles, vitamin C. Like it made that's the only thing that made sense. All of my schooling,
Because you could apply that.
I guess that's what it is. Then when
Hmm.
I went to nursing school and I started doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. And it was just very comfortable for me.
Hmm.
Even when I was stressing, it was still like, you know, comfortable. But I could tell you that anxiety will, because that's when I started struggling, was when I started experiencing anxiety from experiences in nursing school. But prior to that, I was fine.
Girl, like the I know that I talked to you about that one girl. I don't know who she was, but she was a tutor, and she was like, "So what are you struggling with?" And I
I
was like,
really,
"I
yeah.
have this anxiety." And when she looked at me, the way she looked at me, I was like, "Hold
What
on."
anxiety?
anxiety. I'm like, hold on, I have test anxiety. But after that, I think that's when nursing clicked for me because I was able to gain my confidence as a nurse.
Yeah.
Because I
And
was like, if this girl shows confidence, so can
yeah. I remember that. You told me. She was like, why you have anxiety for? And you said at first you didn't take that too well because
it was the tone, but I needed that. I really
you
did.
did. You did. And you know that goes to say that confidence goes a long way.
Hmm.
Like confidence makes a world of difference. If you are confident in who you are, anxiety has no place there. They both can't reign.
Nope.
They both can't reign, and that's one thing I feel like a lot of thing with nursing school. What makes it hard is the anxiety that's around it. Some teachers like to create that toxic
Hmm.
environment, and I believe that that is just so wrong. Because if you when you know the difference when you have a teacher that's like, look at like the or lowing them from the senior when they were like a lot more chill, like because
Hmm.
they like that
They
made
know
a
we
world
have
of
it now.
difference. Yeah, and that made a world of difference in how you approached it, how you because they believe that you know what you're at this point. They
Hmm.
believe that you've made it this far. You have the not even if you don't believe in yourself, they believed in you, and the fact that they did, it really made a world of difference in how you kind of like operated and just how you process stuff. So yeah.
And I've heard from other nurses, and not even just in our nursing program, that it's a similar culture where they increase the anxiety in their students in order to like weed out the bad.
That's terrible.
And for the nurses who are going through that, I am a big proponent on don't let them make you feel away. But it's hard to not do that, especially when you feel like they have your future in their hands.
And they do not.
Exactly. They
They do
don't.
not.
And that's why, and you know what? And they tried and tried and tried, but we're here today and I feel like we are the poster children for they tried to get us out, but they couldn't.
Mm-mm. They do not. So that's the thing is once you realize because you know what, a person can only control you once they start to control the way you think about yourself and your belief
Hmm.
system. Once
Oh,
they start
girl.
to alter that belief system, that's when they have you. So when you realize that the teacher technically does not control any, they have to grade the test how they have to grade tests.
Hmm.
So the only way they can get you is they get you at the beginning before you take the exam. You already failed. You already failed.
Because I don't know if you remember this, but in our orientation day, we had a teacher who was like, yeah, and a lot of them don't last.
Mm,
She was insinuating that we were going to fail nursing school.
I bet I
And
don't
so
know who that
she
teacher is. Hmm.
hmm and she created an environment of anxiety.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So when we're talking to y'all about like anxiety in nursing school, don't let them get to you because like she just said, once they get in your head, they have you.
Yep.
I
Yep.
had to pull myself by my bootstraps up out of the place that I was in.
Yeah. Buy your bootstraps. Sis. Oh, that's
Girl,
true. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we had to pull ourselves out of the trenches because goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you because I know it's a lot of moms who are nurses. How did you balance being a mom in nursing school?
Um, so for me, like I said, nursing school was like my therapy. My whole journey to motherhood and through motherhood in the beginning was rough. So nursing school came at a point in where I feel like it helped me and my son.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I needed that because I don't even know how I did it. Yeah, yeah, you know what? It just I don't know how. That whole period it was a blur,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. It was that whole period was a blur. Like you said earlier, I didn't get to study much. I didn't get to do all that. But when I was studying, that was kind of like a little bit of a therapy for me. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was me again. Those were my me moments.
Speaking from motherhood, like I can say that work, like as much as people like to say that, you shouldn't get breaks as a mom, some things that are unconventional are breaks for you. Like when I went back to work, it was a break for me.
Yep.
It felt like it truly felt like I could breathe.
Yep.
And most people don't know that. So like hearing you say like it was therapy for you, I completely understand now that I'm a mom.
Yeah.
But before I was a mom, I would not have understood what you were saying.
Yeah, it was therapy for me. Like that is, I feel like I said, nursing school really saved me a lot because I was gonna go crazy. I
Mhm.
was going to lose my mind. I started regaining some of who I was. I started, doing stuff for myself. Nursing school was something that I had to do for me. Yes, it was for me and my son.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, but in the moment when I was doing it, I needed that because I don't know if I told you, but I did like the same day I got accepted nursing school, the same day my water broke, and I did my acceptance letter in my hospital bed
Ooh,
before I had my son. So I was
I
like, yeah, huh?
I said I did not know that.
Yeah, the same day I got accepted, that night my water broke, and my child is preemie, and then yeah, I did right before I went in to have my. Well, I didn't know I was gonna have surgery next day, but yeah, I did my acceptance. I accepted my thing. I didn't know how life was gonna go, but I know I was gonna do it because I had to. That was like me kind of grabbing back a piece of me,
Mhm.
and so how did I balance it? I don't know. Kind of. Like I said, it made life make sense at that point. Like that was what it made. It gave my life some meaning, gave my life some structure because I'm not
Mhm.
the most organized. So during that time, I was forced to be organized to thrive, and I feel like it really helped me in other ways. Like to start is that's where I started learning how to balance motherhood and other things.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah.
So I was gonna ask you, what are some things that you did in like with the stresses of nursing school? What did you do outside of nursing school to decompress? Since nursing school was um therapy for you, what in addition to that did you do to decompress?
Nothing. You know
Girl,
I
you was
do.
shopping.
What?
You was at thrift stores. You was
Okay,
shopping.
but that's always been like a whole thing. But I've done that before.
Okay, so when you get stressed, you just stress shop.
I do shop. You know what? I'm better now. Okay, I'm better now. I'm better now. But yes, I used to shop. Yeah, I used to go to thrift stores. So thrifting was my thing.
Mhm.
But I was doing that before I had a kid. Before all that, that's always been my thing.
Mhm.
So I guess yeah, but other than that, I didn't do anything. I didn't go out with friends. I didn't really hang out much.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Now you say that, yeah, I guess that was a part of what I did to cope. It's funny that you remember that because I didn't.
Cause I always remember if you got extremely stressed, I would call you and you'll be like, yeah, I'm at Target. I'm at Ross.
I didn't remember that.
I'm getting supplies. I'm getting stationery.
Oh yeah, I love shopping. A million and one planners with no plan.
Girl, oh my goodness.
All the
Oh,
markers, all
a
the
happy
sticky notes.
planner. But
Yeah.
yes, I literally remember anytime you would get stressed, you would just go shop. You was at the Salvation Army somewhere. Like that is definitely a way for you to decompress.
Oh,
But
it's funny.
ending our nursing school experience, are there any resources that you use that you could let any of the nursing student listeners know that you use in order to prepare for tests?
Yes, what's her name? Once I found her, it was a wrap.
Sarah.
Sarah RN. So Sarah
Mm-hmm.
RN was the godmother of nursing for me. I don't care what they say about Nightingale, but anyways, let
Nightingale didn't do nothing.
me tell you, Sarah RN is because she made it make sense.
She did.
She simplified a lot of things. I would be listening to Sarah RN on my way to pick up Cairo, on my way to school, on my way to work. Like I would listen to Sarah RN the night before the test.
Yes.
Just find that little chapter. I remember acid base balance. That was like something I struggled with, acid base.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember listening to Sarah RN over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, okay. And what I didn't realize, my style of learning, a part of it is listening because I listen to it and then I kind of like in my brain, I kind of put it into little pieces. I kind of slow it down.
Mhm.
And so I would listen to Sarah RN, and then I would take her little test, her little exams on her thing.
Uh-huh.
She's still around, by the way. She's still
She is.
around. Let me tell you, don't sleep on her. Her old videos are just as good as probably her new ones. Um, so Sarah RN was my main person I watched. I don't think I. What else did we do? We did
The
seven
Saunders,
questions.
the 7 questions.
The 7 questions. I think those were the two, and then we just wrote like a bunch of. We would like rewrite notes over and over, like really pretty. Remember, your notes were always so nice and neat. Like she had the neatest note. Like they were so organized.
Girl, and at the time when we were together, they were not doing much for me because I was always bogged down in the fluff. So it's this thing that they tell you in nursing school is to not get caught up in the fluff.
Get out the
So it's
weeds.
like all the extra information. So any small details I used to hone in on those. But once I was able to figure out that I really only needed the 7 questions to completely understand
Hmm.
what I was doing, it made a ton of difference.
Yeah.
So now you've graduated, you got your first big girl job. If you can remember the feelings that you had when you initially started working in the ED, can you tell me one word to describe it?
Oh my gosh. When I transitioned into ED, because remember I was a tech.
You were a tech first.
In the ED. Oh my gosh. What was the feeling? It was like validated. I felt validated. I don't know.
You can expand on it.
Huh?
You can expand on it.
Because I believe, like I said, with the whole thing for nursing, for me, my life took a turn at a certain point in time where I felt like I lost my value. I felt like I lost my mm, I don't want to say I don't know. Like I felt like I lost that thing that made me special. Or so I've never felt like I was gonna fail in life. I've never felt like I was gonna be a bum. That's never been something that was associated with my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I kind of lost the pep in my step when life happened.
Mm-hmm.
Nursing school is my way of regaining that view of myself where I felt like, okay, yeah, now you're doing something great. Now you're back on track.
Mm-hmm.
So when I accomplished becoming a nurse, like when I passed my exam, I never forget that day. When I passed my exam, when I got my test results and I started working, I felt validated. Like I felt like I finally belonged. Like I proved a point. Honestly though, to be real, those feelings were a little bit false, like because they fade. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a position, a job, nothing can value you. Like nothing can validate you except yourself, like your character. Validation kind of comes from inside, but at that point, honestly, it kind of did help me. It helped me because I walked a little taller now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I felt like I belonged there. I felt like I belonged in that space, and I was going to make a difference, and that I could make a difference. And all the things that the struggles we had through nursing school, the special struggles.
Mm-hmm. Girl, special struggles.
Yeah. So when I finally stepped foot in that ER with my badge, I remember I didn't get my badge, and I was pestering them about my badge. And for them, they didn't see it as a big deal because other people, like, they didn't care about their badge. I did because I knew what it meant for me.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that badge with the RN on it. Okay.
And it's different than somebody just freshly coming through the doors. You had already worked there for a period of time, and now I'm not a tech anymore, honey. I'm a RN. So give me my
Uh,
badge.
Give me my badge. There was another girl who was a paramedic, and she still wear her paramedic badge to this day because she don't care. But for me, it was more than that. It was a big deal. And so yeah, I felt validated that day. I felt like I did something great. I feel like this was the transition. I feel like the trajectory of my life finally started to change. My value went up. The way I saw myself went up. The way I believe, my belief system about myself kind of started turning back in my favor. And I believe that all the things that happened to me prior suddenly didn't. It wasn't it didn't, that shadow wasn't looming anymore. And yeah,
I love that. Oh my
yeah, my
goodness.
girl.
Validated is the word for today. Okay. Don't let the jobs think that they're validating you. But
No,
they think that they are, but they're not.
no, no. And
So,
go ahead.
what was your aha moment? Like, when did you know that I have this nursing thing? It doesn't matter what anyone says.
Ooh, wait. As a nurse or fresh out of nursing school?
Fresh out of nursing school.
Girl, let me tell you. So remember when we were talking about don't let the anxiety and what their people will break you from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I didn't realize the damage nursing school had on me until I started working as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that. So another thing for the future nurses, like I said, it's very important to protect your view of yourself and your peace in nursing school. Because believe it or not, if you allow a person to destroy that belief system during that process, it follows you outside of that schooling system. So that environment, even though your environment changed, the internal dialogue that you have, whatever they put in, that follows you and it will affect how you operate in your working career. So um I didn't realize the effect that school, my experience had on
Mm-hmm.
me until I started working, when I thought that okay, I've made it. Now I thought everything was going to change. But my
Mm-hmm.
belief, because I allowed this person, not even just this person, it was more than one of, it was a couple of them. But this
Mm-hmm.
person and her entourage,
Girl.
her people, to change the way, to break my confidence essentially, because it was all about confidence. Um when my confidence got broken, then I started doubting myself. I doubted myself a lot as a nurse. And people would be like, "You're so good." And I didn't see it. People like,
Mm-hmm.
You got this." And people were telling me that I got it. People were telling me that I can do it. But I didn't believe it. And because I didn't believe it, it showed up. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't be satisfied no matter how everybody might see your light. If you don't, it doesn't make a world of difference. And so I didn't realize just how much damage was done in nursing school until I started working. And that I met people that were like that professor in the working field, because they're everywhere.
Yes, they are.
They're everywhere and they smell you.
It's like they smell the fear.
Yes, they
They're
sense
like, we're gonna attach to
the inferiority. They sense
it.
the,
Mm-hmm.
yep, because that is what it is. They try to make you feel inferior, and they sense it, and it empowers them, and they will attach to you, and they
Mm-hmm.
will try to kind of reinforce that belief system. So I struggled my first part of getting out, my first year.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled quite a bit. And then the struggle, when I started kind of like getting the hang of it, I still struggled internally for a long time. My
Mm-hmm.
struggle ended, honestly, when I started traveling. Believe it or not. Like, I knew I was a good nurse. Yeah, yeah. But when I started traveling, that boosted my confidence. Like the confidence part started rebuilding.
Because I think what people don't know about traveling is that you get thrown into situations that you would never get thrown into if
Mhm.
you just worked as a staff.
Nope.
Like, it's kind of like the people who do certain things in the staff, like in staff, they continue to do that. And then you're over here, you're doing the same thing that you've been doing. But once you go and travel, like, they're going to make you work quick on your feet.
Hmm.
So I think what you have told me that traveling really saved your nursing career. Do you feel like if you didn't travel that you would still want to be a nurse?
I mean, granted, I don't. I do want to be a nurse.
Hmm.
Essentially, do I still want to be a nurse in ER? I don't know about that even now. But traveling, um, it's not just my nursing career. Traveling helped boosted my belief system in myself. But because, like
Hmm.
you said, when you traveler, they don't care about what you know. What they will,
Mhm.
they just think you're a traveler. You should know this. And
Exactly.
the thing with that is that is kind of a good thing and can be a bad thing if you're not a person who doesn't know stuff. But you have to be open to ask questions and can't be afraid of change. So I was a person. I like my comfort zone.
Mhm.
I like what I like, and even if it's toxic, I stay because it's what I'm familiar with.
Mhm.
Traveling was my first time like pushing out and kind of like putting myself out there, kind of like taking off those, you know how the bird, you just take off those trainings and just go.
Uh-huh.
So took off the training wheels and just went for it, and I started traveling in in an environment where I didn't even know that it was the second busiest ER in Atlanta. I didn't know that. I just picked the job. I didn't know anything about this place. I did not know what I was up against. I did not know what I was. I had no idea, and I went for it. But what that did, because the that let me see, that not knowing, they don't know you, is such,
Exactly.
that thing can be such an advantageous thing, because they don't know you. They don't have any expectations of you. They don't, you, that's your moment to, you are the one who create that belief system around yourself when you are traveling.
Mhm.
Every hospital you step in, that's your opportunity to reinvent yourself, and or to either reinvent yourself, to hone on the skills. Like, they don't know anything about you, and that mystery that surrounds you is a thing of advantage. You can be whoever you want to be as a travel nurse. Let me tell you, I heard about this nurse. They said at the hospital I'm at now, they're like, they had a nurse there. He was terrible, terrible. He started trying. He went to a nurse. He got hella Daisy awards. There's like,
Yeah.
huh?
And then also, it also is like the environment you're in. Because if you're in an environment that doesn't allow you to thrive or makes you feel like there's no room for growth, you start falling into those bad habits.
Hmm.
So look at him. He went from walking around with his head down to helping all the patients and getting Daisy Awards.
They couldn't believe it. They're like in shock that he got Daisy because he wasn't the best nurse, and that's to say, that says a lot, right?
Hmm.
That says a lot, is that you, like you said, your environment matters. As a nurse, everywhere, nursing is not the same every environment you step into.
Mm-mm.
Nursing is not, you don't get to be a nurse everywhere. Some places you got to be a tech, a secretary, and so many things, and the nurse, you be a nurse last. That's the last thing you get to do, which is
Hmm.
very dangerous and very unfair, honestly, because
Yes.
they're not paying you for all those extra things. And these hospitals will tell you, well, we don't have the resources, but at the same time they expect you to perform at a level
As
like
if
they
you
got the
do have the
resources.
resources. Yeah.
You
Like you
want
want me to get paid 60K for $120,000 job.
that, you want me to perform at $120,000, you want me to perform top tier in your little popo hospital where you don't have the resources for me to do that. And
Hmm.
because there are people who adapt to that because that's all they know, and that's the thing, when people start to venture, when you start to step out of that box and you start to experience the world of nursing, and you realize that, wait a minute, it doesn't have to, nursing is
It's not
actually,
supposed to be like
is
this.
not supposed to be the hard, like nursing. When I got the experience to be a nurse, just a nurse, like, all when I went to work, my first travel assignment, when I went to work, the only thing I had to be was a nurse. I didn't have to be anything else. So if I didn't show up, and if I didn't perform, that was on me, because
Hmm.
every opportunity was given to me to be the best nurse I had to be. It was hard, it was tough. The patient acuity was high, but you had opportunity day after day to be a nurse. They took away every other thing that was distracting. They
Hmm.
provided all the resources you need. They ran off of protocols, and please do not go in a hospital that do not have protocols
Girl.
enforced, because that is just a disaster. They ran off of protocols. So if you ask the hospitalist a question, they're going to say what the protocols say. If you ask the ER doctor a question, they're going to say what the protocols say. If you ask any intensivist question, no matter where in the hospital you work, they all ran on the same protocol.
And that is a great thing to have, is that you're able to continue care and it's all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Everybody's on the
doesn't
same page.
vary.
Everybody's on the same page. We all have the same understanding. So, and I believe that makes a world of difference in nursing. So please, if y'all are in a situation where you see it's just chaos, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't, and don't stay there. Because them degrees it's too expensive for this
Oh
license.
yes. It's too expensive. It's like we were talking about before, it's expensive mentally for this license. It's expensive financially for this license.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't let anybody affect your money and your well-being.
Mm-mm. Please don't. And they will try to make you look like like you need them. That's another thing. Like Lakeisha taught me one thing in nursing: you ain't got to stay nowhere. You don't
Nowhere, nowhere. And,
nowhere. Sis, the
and
sis
people
will.
people will try to make you feel like you need them. But in all actuality, we work very hard for our degrees. Don't stay anywhere that will play with those. So you have places like long-term care facilities. They will take advantage of your license if you allow them to. So you just have to know that you can't allow people to play with your license. We work too hard for it. So as she said, I will leave a job if they treat me wrong and if they try to play with my license.
She will. She will. Like she was when I realized how you just really was a no nonsense. Like this is my term, and it wasn't in. And you're not doing this because of selfish reasons. Like you prioritize care for patients and all the things. You are a great nurse in whatever you do. And when you realize your value, and you decided you wouldn't take nothing less, I was like, oh shit, I can do this too. Sorry. Okay.
Yes, yes, sis.
I
Look,
was like, the value, like, and it makes such a difference, right? When you know your value and you know that I don't have to sit here. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
a lot of difference.
look, it this has been like a world of change for you, and I'm so glad that you recognize your value as a nurse because that is important. Like you stayed in a place for a long time just because you were comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. Just because you're comfortable, but it all starts with, like I said, do not let these people break you down in school.
Hmm.
It's the foundation. It said how something starts determines the maturation of it, the life cycle of it. How you begin, it really has a very great impact on the life cycle. So how you start nursing has an impact on how you'll be as a nurse throughout. So you have to be that these teachers, a lot of them are let me tell you something. A lot of these teachers that we laud in nursing school,
Hmm.
they aren't the best nurses, especially the ones who try to belittle you as a nursing student.
Hmm.
They see your potential and they are already intimidated. Granted, they have years of experience. And a
Hmm.
lot of time they see your potential as a nurse and they're very intimidated as you. They're intimidated by you. You ain't even started yet. You ain't, it's
Hmm.
it's kind of like you trying to take out
They
a
see
baby
your
before.
light. They see your light. They see your abilities. They see what you can offer. And as long as you're operating in a space where you doubt yourself, they're fine with that.
Yeah,
They're okay with that.
yeah,
But as soon as you start to shine bright, oh my goodness, it's a whole 180 on how their position with you changes.
yeah. And this is clear with everyone. I met another nurse, and everybody that I've seen struggled in nursing school. They were confident. And it's somebody trying to break them. Like I met a paramedic who was transitioning to nursing, and he said he had the toughest time because he knew more than what they were teaching. So if you know, so these a lot of nursing teachers, a lot of nursing professors, they want you to be dependent on them. They want to be your first taste of nursing. They want to be the window through which you look at nursing. They don't want you to think
Hmm.
outside of the box. They want everything that you know, they want to be the one to teach you that.
Hmm.
And the second you know more than what they do know or what they try to tell you, or you can, like, the second you start to be like, you start to think for yourself, yes, you will have an issue with a lot of professors. And I've seen it with a lot of people who, they all struggle. And it's the same thing. Like, I just met a nurse, a travel nurse, and she told me how this professor tried to fail her the same way one failed me. And
Hmm.
she's like, she looked at all her paperwork and she's like, My paperwork is identical to every, and she went through the class and she started taking pictures of everybody's stuff.
Mm.
It all matched up. And she was like, why do I have an F and they have a different grade? And she took it to the board, you know.
As she should have.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was, I was very passive. I was like, oh my gosh, I
Girl.
I need you guys. I just feel so undeserving, and I feel like I felt like nursing school they were doing me a favor, and that is not the case, guys. I
Hmm.
don't care how you get in. I don't care how you get into the program. Like, it doesn't matter how you get in. You had to qualify to get in.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter
And
if you took. Hmm?
oh, go ahead, sis. Finish.
I was saying it doesn't matter if you took your test 10 times. And a lot of times, a lot of teachers will try to rub that they will try to, because I remember the teacher looked up my history. Remember, she's like, "Oh, I realized that you have a BSS." She went back in the like sis went that you started an auxiliary program, stuff like that. Like, a lot of times, they will try to find like loopholes. It doesn't matter how you get into the program. You had to qualify.
Hmm.
Nobody gets in without the grades. Whether you took the test 10 times, 15 times, nobody gets in
Had
without
to
the
get the grade
grades.
to get in.
Yeah, you had to qualify, so you are just as qualified as anybody else in that class. It doesn't matter how you got in, you're just as qualified. And it doesn't matter how you became a nurse, if you had to take the NCLEX 15 times, at the end of the day, they had to issue that license after you have proved that you are qualified. You're competent. So, and I feel like a lot of people try to belittle people who didn't have it as easy,
Hmm.
who didn't just breeze past. And a lot of times, y'all breeze past because we get teachers giving y'all information.
Girl, you better speak about it. You got teachers that give you test outlines.
We got teachers giving y'all sneaking y'all test information. Let's. It's
Hmm.
not an even playing field. It's not an even playing field. Nope,
It's not.
it really isn't. So a lot of times, some people are excelling, and honestly, a lot of times, if you check the background, they have paperwork from teachers. Like, teachers are sneaking people's stuff. They're giving them little preps for what to study for and all that stuff. And it's everybody's not getting that. So a lot of times you see some people struggling, that's because they're trying to do it the right way.
Hmm.
And the ones that are not, mm, you know, yeah.
Yeah, we have experienced all of that in nursing school, and I'm sure that some of y'all have too, where you feel like you're bogged down and you see this person that's succeeding, but you have no idea how. They're not studying, but they're always in the teacher's office,
Mm-hmm. Best friends, buddy, buddy.
and they always look like they're stressed out. They always look like they're stressed out, but they are
It,
always in the nurse's office, the teacher's office, getting answers for tests.
yeah,
Being
it's
honest, y'all.
it's so sad. It's so sad. That it's a toxic culture. It's a
Very.
toxic culture that you should not allow to don't get caught up in it. Like, because as I said, that culture carry like it goes beyond nursing school. They started in nursing school, but it goes beyond that. You will see it in your workplace. You'll
Mhm.
see it with your managers. You'll see it with your boss.
You'll
You'll
see it
see
with
it.
your preceptors. You're gonna
Yep.
see it with people who you wouldn't think that you would see it with, because
Mhm.
maybe you had a relationship with them before, they taught you, and then all of a sudden they feel like because you're exceeding that you're a threat.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
don't allow those people to get under your skin. So we're going to go into what are some ways that you have adjusted or moved past or cope with the struggles that we've had in nursing school or being a nurse.
Ooh, some of the ways I adjusted. Oh, so I have done a lot of. I started reading a lot of books about confidence.
Hmm.
Um, I The Art of Letting Go is one that I've started reading. It's really good. I listen to podcasts. I try to make sure my environment and everything around me and all the people and everything that I entertain is positive and
Hmm.
uplifting. I have no space for negativity. I have no space. I can't afford it. It's very
Hmm.
expensive. And that's just one of those things I will never be able to afford. I will never be able to afford negativity. and things that are toxic to my well-being. So I just started in nursing, and I just started creating a lifestyle outside of nursing, an internal, and I started just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like realigning myself,
Reinvent
and
who you are.
yes, and just readjusting my internal clock, like my internal dialogue. What's the
Mhm.
dude we used to listen to all the time?
Les
Kind of
Brown.
start Les Brown, honey. So in nursing school, I started experiencing anxiety. I had never known. I had no idea what anxiety was. Did not know what anxiety looked like, and I had my first panic attack in nursing school, and I had a lot of anxiety, and a lot of anxiety around clinicals and stuff. And Les Brown, some gospel music,
hmm
um, kind of took me through there, and just like a good support system with my friends and stuff. Keisha,
hmm
um, and then, but outside of that, once I became a nurse, and it's kind of hard to, you don't really, because you don't have that urge, like it's not an exam or something. Now you have to intentionally do these things in a daily life. So, like, I started reading books. Like I said, The Art of Letting Go is really good. I'm reading a one that says, um, what is it? How to unbecome yourself or something like that.
You
But
can
it's
send it to me. I'll put it in the description for people.
Okay. So it's breaking the habit of being yourself. So I do a lot of internal work to
hmm
just rewire my thought process, my belief system. And that internal work, it will materialize in your day-to-day life. So that is my main thing. And then I focus on my family, and I focus on the things that I love. I change the way I look at things. I change a lot of the narratives that I've had. So I read something where it says you should change the narrative, the way you narrated a story in your past. For
Mm-hmm.
example, that nursing school story, I no longer narrate it the way where I'm a victim. I ain't a victim, never will be, never go. So I changed the narrative around that. I changed the entire way I saw that story. And so it no longer has a hold over me. So no longer, I don't feel defeated when I think about it. When I think about
hmm
these people, I don't feel inferior. I changed the way I tell that story to myself, and the way I view it. And I just make everything positive. So that's kind of how I navigate um, being a nurse. And I focus on the fact that I'm a bomb ass nurse. I'm sorry, I'm good.
Ooh, I love it.
I focus on that. Like I focus on, like, everybody say you're so good, you're competent, and I reaffirm it every time I do something, and I go in with a different belief system. And then I have people like you, Keisha, who I really admire. You've always done nursing for the people. I don't think you've ever done nursing for yourself. Like you've
I
always,
try so hard to do it for
I
myself.
love you do. Like you are genuinely 100% you give you to your patients, and you try to make that experience one that anybody would want to have. And I started like that with those things, because I struggled at one point with believing, did I do nursing for me, like is it a selfish thing? And because of that, I intentionally go in every time, and I try to make my patients experience really great. And I've gotten some very good feedback from my patients, um with that. Like, even though the providers, everybody might be like mad or whatever, my patients
Mhm.
always have a great experience. They always have good feedback. So and so that is a thing too. You just make sure it's not, you're doing it not for you. I mean, you're benefiting, but you're really looking at it like, this could be my mom, this could be my dad, this could be my uncle, aunt, my grandma.
Mhm.
And I just changed the way I look at it. You know what I mean?
I've tried so hard to just do nursing for myself, like just make it a selfish decision to go into areas that don't require a lot of patient care, because it was burning me out at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found out that everywhere I go, every single place I go, I don't care how the provider feels. I don't care how other nurses are going to feel, because my patient's care is the top priority for me.
And that is beautiful. That is awesome. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've used. Is that the question you asked? Did I ask you a question? I don't
I
remember.
think you answered my question. But you already answered my last question, which is what are some books that you're reading to help you navigate nursing? So
Oh, yeah.
you have some more?
I do. Okay, so I have The Art of Letting Go. But as I said, they're helping me navigate nursing, but it's more than that.
It's more than just nursing. It's life that allows you to be able to be the best nurse that you can be.
Right. There's one, The Choice is a good one. It is by Edith Edger or Eager or Egger. And she also wrote one called The Gift. Um, and it's pretty much like 12 steps. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't, but I am going to download it on Audible when we get off.
Yeah. So it's a really, 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 really good book. Like one's called The Choice, one's called The Gift, and they're all books that pretty much focus on recreating your internal dialogue. I mean, it's all about, your when you pretty much hold on. So when you change the way you look at the world, when you change your vision, your sight, from the inside out, it changes everything. Like I'm pretty much into the whole belief that um anything is going to be exactly what I see, what I believe, what I see, and I see it with the negative, like the negative impact. I've seen it, right? Like I
Hmm.
said, went in to be was a confident person, and then they changed the way I saw myself to the point where I started performing like that.
Hmm.
So on the contrary, on the positive way, if you change the way you see yourself, if you change the way your belief system, if you change that from the inside out, then your external world will reflect that. So that's kind of those are kind of the things that I do, and these are the books I'm reading. They're really good books. Somebody say, how much book you gonna read at once, Danielle?
Look, girl. So apparently Barnes and Noble has a 50% off, but I was told that I have too many books, so I need to wait to get more books. But I'm going to Barnes today. Well, is there anything that you would like the nursing students to know before we get off?
um, you can do it.
Hmm.
The fact that you got into the program, so you're a nursing student, so you've done that. The hurdle is there. We already know you want to be a nurse. You already got into the program. You're already in the program. You're there. This is the beginning of your journey. You can do it. And make sure you're doing it for the only fulfillment you'll ever get in nursing is if you're doing it for the right reasons. The money will come and go. Believe me, I
Hmm.
can tell you that. The money will come and go, but you will still be left feeling empty if you're not doing it for the right reasons. Um,
Yes.
and also, do not let anyone or anything, like you need to know for yourself, in yourselves, why I'm doing this. Know your why. Like everybody know your why, and stick to that. And make all your plans should be centered around your why. And also, the biggest thing, you don't have to be a med surg nurse. Jesus, that thing annoys me.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god! I
Oh
literally
my
just had
goodness.
a student. I had a student last 2 weeks ago. She was with me, and I was like, we're in the ER and the thing, we're doing her thing, and I was like, so what can nurse? She's like, I think I have to do med surg because I said nope,
Mm-mm.
nope, 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 nope. I had to stop her. Don't let anybody tell you have to start in med surg. You do not have to start in med surg. You're not the quickest, you're not the fastest, you're not the critical thing. You don't have to start in med surg. You go where you want to be and you will grow right there. You will
Exactly.
grow right there. So do not let anybody limit you when it comes to who you want to be as a nurse or what kind of nurse you want to be. There's no limitations. Every area you can train and you will learn. And if they're hiring new nurses, that means they have trained new nurses. They're equipped to, you will learn whatever skill you need to learn in that environment. So you don't have to start a med surg. And also, if you start a med surg, it's harder to transition to critical care.
Yes, because believe it or not, med surge, oh, excuse me, med surge is task based.
Yep.
So it's harder to think critically when you're moving to other areas. So, like Daneil said, you do not have to go to med surge. You can go where you would like to be. Find you a good residency program that will teach you wherever you want to be. They have residencies for the OR, they have it for the emergency department, ICU. Of course, they have it for med surge, even peds. So
Mm-hmm.
Go where your heart wants to be so that you
Mhm.
don't feel like you're stuck doing something you don't want to do.
Don't limit yourself. Like that is the biggest thing is don't ever limit yourself. If you believe that you one day gonna run the hospital, believe me, you can. Because the people that you will meet in management, they're first of all, they're just people.
Mm-hmm.
They're just people. Like that's another thing. I remember you just said this the other day. The doctors are they're just people. Let me use this.
Mm-hmm.
They're just people like and these people and I just have the system the belief system if they can do it so can I, if they can you can. And a lot of people make you believe that they're so superior and but they started somewhere. Everybody had to start somewhere. A lot of us, the beginning fundamentals of nursing is teaching you how to even the think like a nurse. You had to start, you don't even know how to, nobody just get up and know how to think like a nurse. That's something they had to teach us from the beginning, the fundamentals. So just know that wherever you want to go, whoever you want to be as a nurse, you can. You can. The resources are there. The training is there. You just have to want it and you go find it. That's it.
All right. Thank you. So you see that she has evolved as a nurse from a nursing student to a baby nurse, and now she is a nurse traveling. And so that is the end of our episode. I hope that you all enjoyed listening to this. And if you ever feel down, I think that you should listen to this again because this was a lot of grace for our mental health, for things that we need, and how we can just succeed as being nurses. I,
Ooh,
Go ahead.
sis, we forgot
Mhm.
something.
What was it?
Find your tribe. You
Oh,
forgot?
yes.
Yes, because you were my tribe as nurses. Find your tribe. That's a very important. That's a part of nursing school. Please
Yes.
find your tribe.
And just to end off this episode, me and her didn't end up graduating at the same time, but we
No.
still stayed friends.
Yeah.
So if you find your tribe, you find a sister in somebody or brother in somebody that you go into nursing school with. If y'all end up deviating paths, always remember that you can always find like mindedness in that person,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether y'all are on the exact same path.
Yep. And it will help a lot throughout your career. Like I called Lakeisha just last week, and somebody who's going to be honest with you. Who's going to be honest and tell you, you know what, you could do this a little different. Oh my gosh! But yes, that's it.
All right, that's it. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.